Okay, let's see if it's in focus. 17, 18, 19, 20 seconds. Oh, wait a minute. So I got about a 25-second delay. Okay. And so, where I left off last time is I realized I needed some spacers to put on these back rails to space out the springs to compensate for this stack up. So, if all my math here is correct, these little donuts, when put on like so, washer, spring, washers should be at relatively the same height as the top of that guy. Relatively. Not exact, but pretty close. So then this, go on just like so. Ooh, that actually looks pretty good. That side springy, that side springy. Then on top, another washer, and knob plus a nut. And one more knob. Oops. So now, that's sort of how that's supposed to work. So from the side, let me go this side. So take out the knobs. See, here's our swingy lid. This one plus these two lets you adjust and level this top frame with respect to the bed. We got rotation, we got X, and then this would be Y. So back and forth on this knob, this way on this knob, rotate, and then this way with those three. And there's that back plate I had to put on and cracked several times. But now I gotta adjust the Z and try and figure out exactly, how tall to make my PCB standoffs. So I'm going to 3D print some little pucks, put a magnet in the bottom, and have a little notch on the top to hold the circuit boards to this board, or to this plate, and then I can just pop the circuit boards out of the holder to do its thing. So right now, I'm going to go from the top of these rails to the board just to get leveling figured out. So right now in the front I got 32, where in the back I only have 30. 32, 32, 30. And that's probably just a slack in the nuts. So the first thing I want to do is drop the front to 27. The reason for that is I want to put this adjuster halfway in its travel, and it only has 5 or 10 millimeters of travel, where these have quite a bit more. It also preloads the springs a bit, which will make this whole thing a little more solid and easier to adjust, I think. Time will tell. Now in theory, since all three of these use the same threaded rod, I could just count the turns. That would be the smart way to do it. I never said it was smart. Okay, well, that's 25, 26, 27.5. Stop there and do the other corners. Seven 12. $27.01. 26. This one's jammed a bit. Really? That's $26.99. So in theory, $26.90. $27.26. $27.12. So this corner needs to go up. $27.18. $27.19. $27.36. Down just a wee bit. $26.87, too far. Okay, I turned it one knob. Knurl. $27.28. $26.83. $27.26. Back it off one. $27.08. So right about there should be, this frame should be relatively level to this plate. And now the next bit, I need to know the distance from the bottom. Well, let me do this. First I'm going to measure the thickness of that aluminum, which is 1.63-ish. Let me get a better spot. Yeah, 157. And then I'm just going to zero out my caliper, so I'm basically subtracting off the thickness of that aluminum. And now when I do this, 2543. So I need to make my little standoffs 25.43 millimeters tall minus the setback, so the PCB sets above them. So I'm not going to tighten these two bolts yet. I'm actually going to get a PCB in here and a screen and make sure that all sits right. Speaking of that, I can actually put a screen in right now. I have the one for the next project. It's a very, very simplistic screen, but it works for this. So how this should work is decide which way you want up. I'm going to go the slightly nastier side up. And when I mean nastier, this side's nice and shiny, where this side they deburred it. You can sort of see where the scouring pad went over it, or whatever they used to deburr the screens. So loosen these. slide this up underneath, and I'm going to center the stencil between the center two lock nuts here, or lock screws. Give them just a slight little tighten. That's the other thing I have to learn, is how tight to tighten things. If I go too tight, it definitely won't come out, but then I'm going to just crack those nuts out of the plastic, and if I go too loose, when I go to squeegee it, it's just going to make a mess. Now open up the bottom. The bottom slides up like so. Okay. Tighten them the same way. Start in the center. Work my way out. And then the final step is to set the tension. So this knob can be used to adjust the tension, but the initial setting, you just slide these down and tighten them until they lock. Worked. That worked. Ooh, that is tight. Made a little drum. Okay, I already see a problem. So had I had a big stencil on here with parts out here, thunk. So in the short term, I can just shift this all down. In the long term, I'm probably going to have to pull this. Well, Dremel tool is bolt off, or just pull it and put a shorter bolt in. So realistically, I probably could have gotten by with a 20 or 30 millimeter bolt. Well, I need at least, oh, did I zero? Nope, I didn't. Zero. So I need at least 24 plus 4. So yeah, 30 millimeter bolt would have been kind of ideal. I could swap that out right now. Do I have an M5, M4, M5, M5? Do I have a M5 by 30? Got 35s. M5 by 25. Ooh. Is M5 by 30 not a common size? Maybe. Let's check out a 25. So a 25, yeah, that could work, but not that great. Oh, I do have 30s. They're just, the 35s were mixed in. Right? What are these? 30s, 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 40s. Yeah, somehow I got bolts in the wrong spot. Problem solved. Are the heads are the same size. These are steel. Do I have one in stainless? I do have them in stainless. I'll get a nice pretty stainless one for there. Now the downside of all this, once I get this open, is I need to take this apart to put the new bolt in. Kind of a pain in the butt. This will pull this forward. Yeah, I think that'll work. So here you can see the adjuster releasing the tension on those guys. it's separated off. Ooh, I might have to unlock it just to get this all the way off because it's going to run into those stops. Yep. So just loosen stop number 1. Take this off. Taking it off won't be bad. Getting it back on is going to be kind of a royal pain because those T-nuts don't like to stay in place. So, bad idea for today is I'm going to try and swap this out. Might be able to reduce my pain by only removing one of the 2 mounting screws. Oops. Really? Nice. Put the new bolt in. Pretty sure there's no chance that nut is still in the right place to be started, although I can see it. Oh, excuse me. So it didn't go into a low Earth orbit somewhere else. Oh wow, I got it. I was not expecting to get that on the first try. Loosen these up some more. Get this aligned. So there's my min distance. So I'll have, what is that? About almost 10 millimeters of travel I can play with now. So I got that centered. I'm just going to hold the bracket. Screw the works and nip up the 2 mounting screws. Cool. So here's with no load. It's kind of floppy. And then if I tension these guys, I'm gonna try and to run that, get even a little more spring out of it. Center is definitely more stretched than the edges, but seeing how normally I don't have any tension on it, this should be pretty good. What's next? So I swapped out. So I'm just looking at the edge of this to the edge of the plate. That's pretty good. Right there would be So yeah, I think I'll make that update. So I'm gonna get rid of the 70mm bolts, which were kind of expensive, and add 30mm M5s. Now if I pulled this all the way back to there, it would stick out to this line. Right now I'm at the line, so in theory I could actually go with a go with almost a 35 or a 40 and still not being interfering with the platen, you know, where I can actually put parts. I don't think I really need more than 10mm of travel, so I'm going to leave it at that, but on my bill of materials I'm going to put a 35. Okay, put these away. 30s. There's my 70s. Another bag of bolts I didn't need to purchase, but it's now in the collection for next time. What else do I gotta do? So I'm going to hold off locking these in until I actually get a board in here and I can see how it sits on the board. You know, I can use these to tune it up and down, and once it's in a good spot, I'll lock the back nuts on these to clamp onto the rods. Front one, there's no clamp. It's just you can actively adjust it whenever you need. But I think that's it. There's a wee bit of spring load to the front. That's just the nut floating in the mount up here. But yeah, hopefully this is good to go. I need to order a real squeegee. I'm just going to use a credit card for now, like I have been for years. But I think I'm going to order one of those metal, aluminum backed metal squeegees just for solder paste. And I totally forgot the number. That's why you should write things down. Okay, 158. There we go. 0. My standoffs need to be 2572, 2572, 2581, 2567. Yeah, so about 25 and a half. So it's 25 and a half to the top surface of the card. So the little support widgets are going to be slightly shorter. So I'll write that down this time. So I need a block with a little step in it that holds the card. Throw a magnet pocket in the bottom. And here's the card sits. This needs to be 25.5, let's say. The magnets I'm going to use are just little Harbor Freight neodymium magnets. Hopefully they still sell these. And They are 8 millimeters by 2 millimeters. 8. Yep, 8. So this dimension's 2 millimeters. This diameter is 8. And do I have at least 4 of them? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Got 9 left. Oh! I have a whole nother pack. So if you're curious of the part number at Harbor Freight, it was 67488. Do not feed to children. And they count them as 5/16 by 5/64 thick. They're pretty much dead on 8 millimeters by 2 millimeters, so I'm guessing that's what they really are. Do I have any more up there? Looks like... no, I do not. Oh, nope, I got another pack. So, I got plenty. So, I'm going to make little corner jobs to set the card on. I might try and put 2 magnets in each to keep them from scooting around. If I just put one, I'm afraid they're going to want to spin when you pick the card out, but we'll see. I think that's it for today. I'm going to go sit in front of the computer and CAD up the little mounts. And see what I can come up with. Once I get that working, I may do another shot of actually sticking a card in and smushing paste on it. We will see.